Yeah, Charlie Parker was a beast, man. He was a beast, man. And when I listen to him in his interviews, and when I hear him talk, it's a really nice, calm toned. This is what I did, and it's not really big news that I did this. But to us as people, it's like, what? You just came up with confirmation? It's like, it's like, it's like, man, even I'm stumbling over it, man. It's like, gracious. And think about how many times he had to play certain songs like Anthropology, Casey's Blues, all these, man, some good stuff. It's Coco, man, Leapfrog, all these good songs, man. Now, I have to be honest with you, and this is what the Sax episode is all about. Project Sax episode. I gotta be honest with you. A lot of times, it's deep, man. The music that they played and recorded, like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. All that bebop music and all that complicated stuff is hard to understand. Man, Charlie Parker. I wish you hadn't died so early, man. I wish I would have been able to hear your voice one more time on a newscast, something recent like, oh, yesterday Charlie Parker has given us this wonderful interview, something like that. I wish you wouldn't have died so young, man. But today we're gonna be talking about jazz legend music and how you faring with your jazz legend music. This includes Charlie Parker, Stan Getz, Sonny Rollins, all those jazz legends. You know, sometimes it's hard to listen to. It's hard to understand when you first listen to a bebop song or swing. And unless you play an instrument, you really don't know how hard it is, so you don't really have natural respect for what they're doing. Especially Charlie Parker. I mean, the speed, the emotion, the technique, the rhythm, the turnarounds, the licks. Goodness gracious, it's really hard for us to understand, especially as young people, to understand what Charlie Parker and Coltrane and all those other greats went through when making their music. The emotional content, the the practice. I think I heard Charlie Parker say in an interview that he practiced 12 hours a day at one point in time. That he would years worth of time just practicing 12 hours a day, and it was just like, and I'm pretty sure he practiced more than that because as instrumentalists that are dedicated to our instruments, we don't really put a tab on time. We're going to practice regardless. All right, you guys. I really bring you guys here today to talk about Charlie Parker and all those jazz greats and stuff like that. But when you listen to the music, what do you feel? What goes on in your mind? What goes into your heart and your soul when you hear this music? Because sometimes when I listen to the music, and depending on what state of mind I'm in, I won't even notice it. I won't even go through any type of emotional feel when I hear a good sounding song. I normally go through emotional feel, but depending on what I'm feeling at the time, sometimes this music doesn't suit that need or suit that feeling, you know. And a lot of people might say, well, oh, all the songs are great, all the songs are great, every emotion is felt in every song, you know. Well, some songs are hard to understand at first. And I gotta be honest with you guys. When I first heard Charlie Parker's music, I was more so threatened and frustrated when I hear his music in reference to the music of today. The Legends music and bebop and swing and all that hardcore jazz when it first, really surfaced. You know, it was hard for me to understand. And to this day, depending on what song I'm listening to, it may still be hard for me to understand. But it could be as simple as I wanted to be, or it could be as hard as I wanted to be. When I was in jazz band, I had to pick up the tenor saxophone. I would no longer play my alto, which was my primary instrument. And I had to get used to all the soundings of the fingerings. The fingering, I knew every note, but since I play alto, the notes are the same. The fingering, but the notes don't sound the same. And, different notes are for different fingerings. So it's just like, the A is still two fingers, So when I say the fingerings of the notes are the same. But when I had to go and play a Charlie Parker song on my tenor saxophone, when I've never played the tenor sax for a band, was like, my goodness. So, it was a lot of times where I had to sit in my dorm room and just practice Parker's Move, which was, it's not so much the song itself, it's the speed of the song. And sight reading it is just not my cup of tea. So, yeah. But you have to really look, but you can find some good songs within these legends. You can find some good songs. Like, I had to start it off slow first. I had to find out what ballads they played. And then I'll start to look into Send 'Em in the Mood and in a mellow tone. It's more like a mid bluesy type song, but it all started to make some sort of sense to me. And when I slowed Parker's Mood down to learn it, and I was like, so the song goes a dee da dee, sha da dee da dee da da na na. But in tempo, it's like da 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 sha na 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 na. And then I'm like, if I would have slow that down, I did the sheep by the dwee, I sweet da da dee da da da. Now you jamming. Now you jamming. If I would have put that lick into one of those Kenny G songs or one of those smooth jazz artist songs, then you would understand me. But now I would slow it down and just boo sweet and tweet ba sweet did it tweet. If I were to slow it down, it would make a lot more sense. But we're not playing it like that. We're playing it's very hard for someone to digest in their mind. And my scatting and my bebopping might not be, your cup of tea, but you get the gist of where the song is going. And everyone's heard this music. Everyone's heard this type of jazz legend music, So don't pick on me. But man, if you were to just slow it down and just pick out parts, it's so easy for you to make something as simple as a smooth jazz song sound so complicated and articulate with something you took out from an omnibook of some sort. And I would recommend anybody to go get this omnibook, Charlie Parker omnibook. Mine was yellow. It's the E flat. It's transcribed for E flat, alto sax, E flat. I'm pretty sure they have a B flat, C book. But man, this stuff is interesting just to see it. I mean, when you see it written down in this omnibook, it doesn't look as threatening as it does when you see it written on a small sheet of paper. This is more like a score, and everything is just laid out plain as Jane. It's just It's all right there for me. So if I want to go back to maybe Confirmation or Parker's Blues and go like, wait, what was that note? Because sometimes he graces over notes and you never know what he's actually saying. Omni books are great. But someone once told me that Omni books really, how can I say, fake what the jazz musicians are doing, because sometimes you can't really you can't really put down on paper what Charlie Parker does. And that's one of the things I respect about what Charlie Parker did in his music. You can't really write it down sometimes. And it's kind of like, what kind of music notation can I put on this form of expression? It's not at one point it gets past music and it's just expression. What can I put on this expression to put it on paper? And a lot of people say it like this: the white man put it on paper and the black man just put it by ear. And I mean, I'm black, but I'm not trying to be racist or anything. But I understand when they say you can't just put this on paper. You can't always put music on paper. Music is to be picked up by the ear and retained through spirit, emotional persona. It's to be perceived in a certain way, and a lot of times you have to change up compositions because they're not exactly what the people who play the actual song would want it to sound like. So you can't, in my opinion, you can't write music down all the time. That's why I'm an ear player, because I can sight read music, but it's not up to par. You know, I really rather listen to music and play it by ear. That's just me. But it's all about what you want to do with your music. But if you want to get in bands and stuff like that, and they want to know what your sight reading ability is like, you might want to get up on your sight reading. But other than that, I'm just letting you guys know that this music is hard to digest, and it's not just for paper. It's all also up to, I guess, interpretation. But this, guys, I want to show you something. Check it out, check it out, check it out. Record. I went old school on you guys. You guys know much about record. This is Cannonball Adderley's album, record, whatever they used to call it back in the day. I'm not too old school. Cannonball Adderley's I Got It Bad and That Ain't Good.